Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be sharing with you guys my favorite books slash series, and this isn't all recent. It's mostly books that I read a lot when I was younger. But yeah, there's a lot of different stuff here. There's no spoiler alert, there's no Harry Potter because I just didn't read the Harry Potter books. I'm the outlier of my generation. Sorry. I read the first one and it just didn't grab me, I guess. Sorry. So anyway, I don't have that much here. I think it's less than 10. I don't know. I'm gonna just jump right on in and then tell you guys all about my favorite books. So the first one, I don't have a physical copy of the book, so I'm just gonna tell you. It's the Bartimaeus trilogy. Hang on, I didn't even look up who it's by, like some pause. Bartimaeus trilogy or Bartimaeus sequence, whatever. Written by Jonathan Stroud. Anyway. It's 3 and then there's a prequel that was apparently published in 2010. I don't know if I've read that or not. Anyway, it's a fantasy series with magic, and I think it takes place in like, it's been a while, I want to say industrial London. I don't think it's like modern London, but it's been a while. It's been a while. But that series I remember being totally obsessed with. For the time that I read it, it was considerably big, like vocabulary wise, when I read it first, so now it probably isn't. But I really liked the style it was written in. It was like narrated by, okay, basically the premise of the book, there's genies, I think they're called jinn, though in this, like the Arabian name for them is jinn. So anyway, there's sorcerers and stuff, and you can summon jinn and have them do things for you, essentially. Blah, blah, blah. That's like the very basic premise. And there's also like government stuff. And the main character, I want to say his name is Nathan. It's been a long time, so I don't remember completely. But he is kind of like lower middle. I think he's like a servant to some other warlock or something like that. And he essentially wants to rise to the top, and he enlists this jinn, Bartimaeus, to help him get there, essentially. Unless I'm totally wrong, but I don't think I am. But anyway, it's narrated by, most of it is narrated by the jinn Bartimaeus, and I love, like, he's like a trickster character, you know. He's just like really fun. I remember being like so enraptured by the whole series and the whole magic aspect. It was a lot different from like the magic of like Harry Potter, I guess, which is why I was kind of more into it. So I don't know, it's different. I would definitely go back and reread it and see if it really still holds up to what I thought about it then, you know? But yeah, the Bartimaeus trilogy, the first book is The Amulet of Samarkand, and then it's The Golem's Eye and Ptolemy's Gate, and then the prequel is The Ring of Solomon, which I think I read that. But anyway, I would recommend it. Like I said, it's been a while since I read it, so I don't know what like the reading level is on it, but I remember the stories being very great, and I love them. Next, I just have a stack here in no particular order. I'm just gonna go down. When I was young, me and my sisters were all obsessed with the Warriors series, which, if you don't know, is a series about cats living in the wild and their clans and their stuff. And I don't know, it's by Erin Hunter. She has at least 2, maybe 3 other. There was Warriors, and there was something else which was about bears, and now there's something else they're doing which is about like the jungle, which is about like Africa, Sahara Desert, and like lions and stuff, I think. A lion, monkey, and something else. Elephant, maybe? I don't know. After we started reading the bears one, but by then it was kind of like we were getting out of the whole thing. So, but this was a series that we read almost in its entirety. But anyway, this was really fun. I think this is the first book, Into the Wild. I'm pretty sure this is the first book of the entire series. There's like, the Warriors encapsulates like the whole series, but there's like sections Like this one section focuses on this cat who becomes Firestar. And then the next section focuses on another cat. And then the next section focuses on the other cats, like three kittens or whatever, and their journeys and stuff. So it's kind of how it is. I think there's like, I want to say there's 6 books per section, but I don't know. Okay, I didn't write this down or have a book for this, but there's another series that I was completely obsessed with when I was younger, and I have to... Okay, there is this series by Brian Jock, called Redwall, and there was a bajillion books. There was so many of them. I would read them all. They're all in like different order. There's like there's like the order they came out in, but each story is like, now we're going back 20 years, now we're going forward 30 years. Not really, but anyway, this series Redwall is about animals, much like Warriors is about cats. This is more about mice, but there's like, you know, stoats and all this other like little creatures, and it's kind of like, well, I'll say this, while Warriors is definitely more cat animal based, you know, it has like they're not trying to be anything else but cats. They're cats and they have their clan, whatever. In Redwall, they have more humanistic tendencies or features, where there's like soldiers and monks and this and that. So it's a bit more, like I said, like humanizing or humanistic, is they're trying to be more than what they are. There's like father this and, you know, soldier that, and the great warrior of whatever. And it's been a long time since I've read that, but that was a great series, and I was obsessed with that series. Shed many a tear over that series as a tender little young one. But yeah, that, much like Warriors, a series about animals, but very different in their approach, which I really liked. So I was obsessed with that. Next in my little pile here, I have a book of poetry. This is called According to the Gospel of Haunted Women, which is actually by my professor in UCF, Judith Roney. This is what the cover looks like. It's, like I said, it's a poetry book. Hang on. It's a book of poetry that she wrote that I was like, oh, I like this professor. And then I was like, you know, Google, it's like, here's her book. And I was like, oh, okay. So I got it. Anyway, that's, obviously this is more recent. I got that for Christmas, so it's very recent. But yeah, I like poetry. I've been trying to get more into reading poetry books since I got this one, like, God, years ago. When did this even come out? This came out in 2013. That's probably about when I got it. This is the Live, Love and Misadventure. I think this is her first or second poetry book, and you've probably seen like pictures of some of this on Tumblr or something. It's not like Milk and Honey, even though I do have Milk and Honey, but yeah, this is kind of like one of the first pop culture, I'd say, pop poetry books. She has at least 3, I want to say maybe even 4 more poetry books. I saw one at Barnes & Noble like 2 days ago, which was poetry and prose. But anyway, really like this book. I always come back to it, always try and find new meanings, new, you know, whatever in the poems, because like I said, I am trying to get more into poetry books because I like writing poetry, so I feel like it's important to read more poetry. Next on my list, I have a, what is this? What's this series actually called? A Song of Ice and Fire, George R.R. Martin's series, which the Game of Thrones TV show is adapted off of. When I started reading these books, there was already a few seasons of Game of Thrones out, I think. I think it was still I don't know, it might have still been relatively new, but I was like, I don't really want to watch it, you know, I'm just gonna read it. So I have 4 books. I have the 1, 2, 3, 4, I think, so far. and I've read first the first and second book, and then I'm like halfway through the third, but it's been a while. It's been a while since I picked it up, so if I were to go ahead and read, like pick it back up, I'd have to probably go back to like the second book and then go forward, because it's been a while. And I know that it kind of, eventually it breaks away from the TV show, which is why I was trying not to rely on TV show stuff, you know? But anyway, this was a good series. If you like the show, or if you were kind of looking to get into it but you didn't want to like buy HBO or whatever, I would recommend reading it. It's in depth. This one is 800, how many pages? A lot of pages, 800 and at least 40 pages. And then the print isn't even, it's not that big print, but I will say the only thing that gets confusing about these books is that there's so many characters. And I feel like that's the advantage that the TV show has, is that you can put a face to the name, and here it's just a name to a name, and you're like, who are you again? So that's what I mean, is like if I were to pick up again, I'd have to go back an entire book to remember what we're talking about. I know what happens in here pretty well, the first one, but anyway, it's a good series. I enjoy it. I would definitely pick it up if I had the time. Also, I have The Hobbit. I didn't read Lord of the Rings per se. I just read this and I really enjoyed it. I liked the movies, but they definitely took their own path with the movies that I was not necessarily happy about. But whatever. The first one I think was the best out of the three. But whatever. I don't know. I really like this book. It was my first Tolkien book that I read. Like I said, I didn't actually read Lord of the Rings. I got into this before I got into Lord of the Rings. I still haven't seen the movies in their entirety. Yikes. But yeah, The Hobbit. And I like this cover. I like this. I don't know if they still make like this cover like this, but I like it. Okay, now we're kind of going back a little bit. When I was younger, I read this series by Annie Bodie. This book is called The Anybodies. There is two more. I want to say it was the Nobodies and the Somebodies, but I could be totally wrong. Okay, it's by Juliana Baggett, aka Annie Bodie. Yeah, the Nobodies and the Somebodies. Yeah, I was right. Okay. Yeah, I've definitely read all of them. It's very magical, I will say. It's very different. The art style is very interesting, I found. Here, for example, there's a picture. I don't know if you can see it at all. But it was a very interesting book. Like I said, I read all three. I remember this one the most because I have the hard copy of it. I don't have the hard copy of the other two. But it's just a very fantastical book series where a lot of weird stuff happens in a seemingly normal-ish area. And yeah, that's like my genre, I guess, is, you know, fantasy. But I don't know, let me know if you ever read this series or this book. I don't know if I knew a lot of people who read this. I don't know if it was that popular, but I liked it. So I've got 3 more books here. I have this one. I mentioned this in my favorites video that I did like 4 or 5 months ago. But it's this, The Adulthood for Beginners book by Andy Boyle. It's all the life secrets nobody bothered to tell you. I'm not really into like, not self-help books, but like philosophical whatever books. I'm just not into those kinds of things. I usually find them extremely boring. But this one I picked up on a whim in Barnes & Noble, and I was like, oh, curious. I'll just take a look here, and now I'm obsessed with it. Why does wow, I have my receipt in here. Ooh, when is that from? How many months ago was that? Wow, oh yes, May. I bought this in May because the receipt is in here. But anyway, really good, really cool, very user-friendly, uses easy language. I don't know, it's a funny book, but it actually has a lot of good tips in here, you know, for adulthood. I would highly recommend checking it out. Okay, my last 2 books are by the same author. We have Rainbow Rowell, and I know her book Eleanor Park was extremely popular, but I actually never read it, didn't get into it. What I read instead was Fangirl. Okay, and I saw this cover and I was like, oh my god, because I know this artist and I love this artist and their art, and I was like, I have to have this cover because I love them. So anyway, Fangirl is essentially my life story, except, okay, maybe not really, but kind of, you know what I mean. So it's about this girl, Kath, and her twin sister Ren, and how growing up they were kind of like the same, they were doing the same things, and then they get to college and they both go their separate ways, and Kath doesn't really know how to deal with it. Like, they've had like issues with their family, their dad's kind of like, ooh, their mom left when they were young. It's just kind of a, you know, I don't know. And she talks about like social anxiety. She's a writer. She writes fan fiction for this pseudo, it's kind of like a Harry Potter style book that she writes fan fiction for. And what is it actually called? It's called Simon Snow. That's the thing. It's Simon Snow. It's like Simon Snow and the Mage's Heir, Second Serpent, Third Gate. So it's kind of along the lines of Harry Potter, you know, that she's writing fan fiction off of. So basically the plot is like she's balancing college life and her personal life and her romantic life and working through all of these issues in college that I thought was really cool. And it's obviously not like the most 100% accurate portrayal of college, you know, but it was really, I don't know, I thought it was really nice. I really enjoyed reading this. I think it's the cutest thing ever. I would totally recommend checking it out. And leading into that, in this book, she's writing a fan fiction version of the 8th novel that hasn't come out yet of Simon Snow. That's what she's like, okay, this is how the 8th novel's gonna go, this is exactly how I would write it, and that's what her whole fan fiction thing is. It's called Carry On. And like Rainbow Rowell ended up making the 8th version of the 8th, what am I saying? The 8th book in the Simon Snow series, and she called it Carry On. So essentially, this is what the 8th book would be in Fangirl of the Simon Snow series. So you kind of, I mean, you don't have to, but you kind of have to understand, kind of have to have read Fangirl, because Fangirl does give you some background information on what would have happened in like the leading 7 or 6 books before this. But I mean, you could totally jump into this without it. It's just, like I said, it's kind of Harry Potter-esque, but it's definitely different. I think the reason it's not like, this is just like Harry Potter, you should be sued, is because it's based off of Fangirl. It's kind of, you know, it's based off of that thing, but it's different. I don't know. Okay, like some of the reviews back here is like, Carry On is a triumph, thrilling and sexy, funny and shocking, deep and moving, and very, very magical. Trust me, you've never ever seen a wizard school like this. And it's definitely more, I would say it's more of like an adult Harry Potter, kind of, something like that. It's definitely cool. It's got a lot of like Rainbow Rowell's touches I feel in this, but it's cool. I would totally check it out if you were into Harry Potter. If you were into Rainbow Rowell, I would check this book out. Carry On. It's really cool. I don't know. I should read it again. I haven't read it in a while. I'll read it again. So those are kind of my like all-around favorite books that I've loved since I was younger to today. Yeah, I mean, I would say they're everywhere, but they're not. They're all like fantasy based. Oops. But, you know, they're all fantasy based. Obviously, that's where my heart lies. That's what my inspiration is in writing, is fantasy. So sue me, whatever. But anyway, let me know if you guys read any of these books, or if you're gonna check any of them out. Adulthood or Carry On is at the top of my recommendation list. But yeah, let me know what your favorite books were. If I didn't mention any of them, don't kill me for not reading Harry Potter. I'm sorry, it didn't stick with me. I've seen the movies, I just haven't read the books. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!